From the first from anthropology in designing of defense equipment. How anthropological knowledge can be used in designing defense equipments. So as anthropologists, right, we have idea about human biology, human physics, human somatotypes, as well as the socio-cultural aspect of the people. What is acceptable and what is not acceptable. We better know what triggered the revolt of 1857. The Enfield rifle. Was introduced in the Indian Army on the cartridges. There was an issue in while loading the cartridges into the gun. One cannot tear off the portion of the cartridge before loading it. Cartridge, right? So here they'll be loading the cartridges where the bullets will be there. So one need to tear off it using the teeth while loading the cartridge. And some grease will be there for the lubrication. And that grease was made out of cow's fat. You say pig's fat. Both were religiously not acceptable both for Hindus as well as the Muslims. The British, they had no idea whether this is going to create such a huge impact. Such a huge impact. But it created. Here the reason was, here the problem was due to lack of understanding about the socio-cultural aspect of the people. What is not acceptable and what is not acceptable. Few more things it happened during the Second World War. The Russian soldiers, when Germans invaded from the west, Volgograd, and from Volgograd, two armies actually. Moscow, Volgograd is deep south near the Caspian. It was then called as Stalingrad. Now the name is Volgograd. One army went here and from Stalingrad it was marching towards Moscow, and one more there was a movement of troops in this direction towards Moscow. At one point of time, the troops were just 100 kilometers away from Moscow. The Russian soldiers who were fighting the battle, many later expressed their experience in a number of interviews. Most of the time, the Russians here, they had Stalin had no time to recruit the soldiers and train them properly and put them into warfare. Just hurriedly they'll be recruiting. Hey, this is the gun, load it, shoot it. And most of the time they couldn't provide them proper fighting clothes. Most of the clothes will not be fitting them properly, the pant will not fit them properly. While running they'll be holding gun in one hand, pant in one hand. Their shoes were not proper, the shoes were not fitting properly. For few it will be very tight, they couldn't keep their legs inside. For few it will be oversized and they couldn't run with that. On the other hand, Germans, they were very neatly dressed. very perfectly armed, and they are the professional soldiers. Professional soldiers. But even Germans, right, they were fighting a long battle, and even they were not interested in marching towards Moscow because that will be a very decisive battle. Stalin was earlier a friend of Hitler, but Stalin didn't expect Hitler to move towards Moscow. And when they were fighting, when the troops were, when Stalingrad fell, and when they were almost in the gates of Moscow, it was then right Stalin, through some intelligence, he got some idea that there was a huge army which was stationed there near Pacific Ocean to check any Japanese aggression. But through some intelligence, Stalin got some idea that the Japanese had no intention to invade Siberia. Immediately, Stalin ordered for the movement of the troops from positioned there to Moscow. And these troops, right, were very much equipped or trained to fight under extreme cold conditions. In Siberia, they can stand and fight. And in two trains, right, when the soldiers arrived in arrived in Moscow, they were no match for German soldiers. They were forced to surrender. So during this extreme critical wartime, when we do not have time to think about recruiting the soldiers and making the devices fit for them, always there will be a challenge. So it was during this time anthropologists played a major role in designing the defense equipments. So unlike other equipments, when you design for defense purpose, it is a matter of life or death for our soldiers. So we need to keep many things in mind while doing this. So three important things one need to consider while designing defense equipments are: number one, safety; number two, efficiency; comfort. Almost every single defense equipment which a soldier is going to use will be tested meticulously for its safety, efficiency, and comfort. After testing it only, right, it will be put into use, but we do not know what exactly was the condition of the bulletproof jacket which our great police officer Hemant Karkare was wearing on the fateful day of the Mumbai terror attack, November 16th. Every single police officer, right, will not be like the Hemant Karkare. Hemant Karkare was having his dinner when he got the news that when the phone rang, and he, when attended the phone call, he got the information that Mumbai was under terror attack. Had it been some other police official, they will immediately call the subordinates, the inspector, sub-inspector, hey, where are you, man? Go to the side, I'll be coming, go to the side. But after keeping his phone down, immediately his hand went to the helmet. He wore the helmet, bulletproof jacket, and he went there to the spot. He was wearing a bulletproof jacket, which was tested meticulously. But it was his bad luck. One bullet, after hitting him here on the bulletproof jacket, it got diverted and it went like this, through his throat into his head. We lost a very great police official. A very great police official. It's our duty to salute someone brave like him. So sorry to hear that recently his wife also died. Hemant Karkare. So while designing defense equipments, we need to keep in mind three things: safety, comfort, and efficiency. So now let's discuss one after another how anthropological knowledge was used in designing a number of defense equipments. First, the designing of gun turrets. Gun turrets in a fighter jet. But now these provisions are not there in our fighter jet. We have now advanced fighter jets where pilot he himself can fire everything. Earlier in most of the aircrafts used during the World War for fighting, in that primitive aircraft, there will be gun turrets. Gun turrets, right, these are circular enclosures. These are circular enclosures, and the gun will be there here, and there will be two openings here through which a gunner can see. One person need to go inside this, and he need to fit himself there. He need to hold the gun, point at the enemies, and he need to fire. Suppose it is a war time. It is a war time. So India is on a war with some country. There is one question actually. Can India afford to have a war with China? India can afford to have, but China, they cannot afford to have a war with India. They got too much of business with India, and if they go for a war with India, their economy will collapse. Once if India temporarily stop the import from, they cannot do it actually. There are too many. So there are a number of factors which are intertwining of the foreign relations now. So we cannot expect countries with equal power to go for any war now. So after the World War, hardly we have seen any countries with equal power going for war. USA invaded Iraq. Iraq invaded Kuwait. So fight will be only with unequal powers where the battle will be decisive. If US invades Afghanistan, sure, US is going to win the war. But many people want USA. Even the Afghans, they said, you are not the first to come to Afghanistan. Many had tried their luck and they had gone out with a very pathetic experience. It happened to the British India. We had two wars in Afghanistan, Afghan War 1, Afghan War 2. And what happened to the Indian soldiers who went there? Condition became very pathetic. They went there, they won the battle, they couldn't come back. They had no supplies on the way back. In the deserts, they were left to eat whatever they can get. And most of the soldiers, it seems that they ate camel meat to survive. And when they become weak and sick, the Afghans from every direction came and attacked them. They managed to save their life and return back in a pathetic way. It happened to many countries. You are coming now, right? Come. Let's see what happened. The same thing happened. The fight was not decisive. Okay. So now India is in war with some other country. So there is an urgent need to buy some fighter jets. So urgently, right, we have bought some 100 fighter jets from Japan. And who are going to fly the flights in our country? Say our Punjabi Sardars. So this fighter jet was designed there in Japan, keeping in mind their local population. Mongols generally they will be very thin and lean. They do not have a huge body build. They are very thin and lean people. They will be lean like Virat Kohli. And suddenly, right, without any mind, there's a wartime urgency, and we bought this. And now somebody from Punjab, somebody like Inzama Mulhaq, or somebody like Adnan Sami is going to enter into the gun turret. When they go inside, what will happen? Their body will get stuck in between. Or even if they manage to go there inside, right, they will not be in a position to fit them properly. They cannot move their head, they cannot move their body, they cannot pull them back. We need to shout, hey, pilot, come, please pull me out of the gun turret. So anthropological knowledge first played a major role in designing the gun turret. But nowadays, even this is absent in most of the jet fighters. The pilots, they themselves are capable of firing it. So all these things were wartime subject. These were the content which were added into anthropology during Second World War time. Please continue to follow these. Okay, so do not question anything. If they ask you to write about anthropology and defense designs, do not say all those things were obsolete, they were out of date. No, just write these things. First gun turret. Next is designing the cockpit seat configuration. So cockpit, it is the place where our pilot is going to sit. Correct? So let us discuss about the cockpit configuration later. First, let's discuss about the seat configuration. In a jet fighter, there is only emergency provision. So recently it happened, right? Our Indian pilot, Abhinandan. We need to thank Pakistan media for taking a video of him to show what a courageous man he is. His fighter got struck by a missile and he needed to eject. He ejected that. After ejected that, right, he was captured by the Pakistani army. But see how decently they treated the Indian soldier. How decently they treated him. They didn't torture him. So this is the difference between the army people and the terrorist. On the other hand, same was not the case in Kargil, where the terrorists captured the Indian soldiers. Army people will be professional. They are dealt in a very professional way. And see how courageous he is. He was blindfolded, and when he was asked, he didn't plead, please, I will tell you all the truth, you leave me. I will tell you everything, please leave me. He was bold enough to say, I'm sorry, officer, I'm not supposed to speak about this. This thing. So come to the ejection seat. So once when they press the button, the roof should open, and along with the seat, he will move out, and he can release himself from the seat and he can fire a parachute. For this, the seat should be configured in such a way that, suppose if this is the seat, The center of gravity should always be there within the seat. If you have designed that keeping in mind our Punjabi Sardar, and if somebody from Northeast, somebody from Assam is driving that flight, he will be there in some corner of the seat. He cannot occupy the full seat because he will be very lean. And when he is very lean, his center of gravity may move away from the seat. And when he fires the button, he may not go out. He may go and hit the wall somewhere. So these things should be kept in mind while designing the ejection seat. That center of gravity should always be there within the seat. So anthropologists played a major role in designing this thing. Next is cockpit configuration. So different people have different physique. If somebody is from the northern part of Africa, if he is a Nilotic Negro, his arm length will be very long. That is not the case with most of the Mongols. See here, while designing the cockpit, all the controls should be accessible for the pilot from his seat. For few controls, he cannot get down from the seat and he cannot go and do it like this. Every single control should be reachable to him. Again, anthropologists, right, they played a major role in designing this thing. While designing this cockpit configuration, they need to keep one thing in mind, that is, there is no average man in design. There is no average man in design. Because if you use the average value, then for 50% of the people, that control will be accessible. For another 50%, it will not be accessible. So it is better to use percentile value. Make it 80%. So that at least for 80% it will be easily accessible. For remaining 20, they need to struggle to reach that, but they can reach that. So there is no average man in design. So next is use of fight clothing, or you can say partial pressure suit. Partial pressure suit. Once our President APJ Abdul Kalam, he tried Sukhoi, the fighter jet. He was dressed like a Air Force pilot and he managed to sit there in the fighter jet. What a great experience it should be. In the next term, our ex-president, Srimati Pratibha Dev Singh Patel, she also tried the same Sukhoi, the fighter jet. And she was also dressed like a fighter pilot, wearing all those tough dresses, pants, and she was marching. Many asked why they are troubling her. She can go in a salwar or sari, right? Why they made her to wear all these dresses to board that? The thing is that she is not boarding an ordinary passenger flight. It is a fighter jet which flies at a velocity which is more than the velocity of sound. At this velocity, there will be extraordinary pressure changes. If they eject right, there will be sudden pressure changes which they need to manage. So for that, their body will be totally covered by one dress. From neck till toe, a double-layered dress, a double-layered cloth, which will be filled by some gas. And that gas will surround our entire body. That will protect our body against sudden pressure changes. Then they need to wear the helmet, a protective gear in their ears. so that the sudden pressure change will not affect her brain. So this partial pressure suit, right, is a double layered suit which envelopes the fighter pilot's body. So again, to design this, right, anthropologists played a major role because they know about the human somatotype. So you are making it for Indians, right? Make it large and XL. That is sufficient. You are making it only for Punjabis, right? Make it XL, double XL. You are making it for somebody from Northeast, right? Okay, make it small, medium, and large. Sufficient. So that we can conserve some time during wartime. Then there are also use of then designing fight clothing. Fight clothing. This is something very, very important. Okay. So because during wartime, when they carry the gun and when they run, we need to make it sure that the dress fits them properly. If it is not fitting them properly, suppose if it holds them tight here, I bought one shirt recently from this Levi's. That was a slim fit. I said, sir, slim fit won't fit me. Why you are troubling me? I want comfort fit. He said, sir, you take the next size that will fit you properly. But that slim fit, right? I couldn't. Here it holds me. I cannot lift my hand like this. If they do like this, right, then they'll be in trouble during fighting. So anthropologists played a major role in designing fight clothing. Then the use of mock-ups. Or anthropo dummies. These right now we use even in while testing car passenger safety. So what they will do, they will make a dummy like human beings made out of some synthetic material. If they want to test a helmet or if they want to test a bulletproof jacket, they'll put that over that anthropomorphic dummy and they'll fire at that and they'll check whether this bulletproof jacket is really protecting them from the bullet injury. Like that, for various purposes, right, we'll be using anthropomorphic dummies. And to be there in army is really something very great. Once there was one army exhibition held in the College of Engineering, Gindi in Chennai. I went there and to my surprise, they have exhibited Bhishma T-90S. That is one among the greatest battle tanks which we are having. That is many times larger than the main battle tank Arjun. Huge tank that is. I went there inside and there was one army person who was instructing us. He showed me how to load the artillery gun with what is it called as that shell, artillery shell. He asked me to pull one lever. We pulled that lever. I just pulled it, didn't come. Okay, pull, man. With one hand, with the two hand, I'm trying. Oh my God, I couldn't pull. He said, move this side. Then with one hand, right, tuck, he pulled it. And where we need to keep that shell, right, that portion open. He asked me, take that shell. I went there. He said, wait, you cannot carry that. Move that side. Just carried it in one hand, pulled it, closed it. So now we can fire. He said, do not worry, we have locked it, you cannot fire it. So even inside a battle tank, right, that is an armored vehicle They need to make it sure that all the components, right, are placed in such a way that it will be easily accessible to all the soldiers who are there inside, so that it provides them maximum comfort, efficiency, and safety. Okay, come. So come back now. So if they ask you to write about the applications of anthropology in defense design. So what are all the things you are going to write here? The first important thing is, while designing for defense equipments, we need to take care of three things. One is safety, comfort, efficiency. Then the next important thing is, there is no average man in design. We need to use only the percentile values. We need to use only the percentile values. Then third thing we can write about this gun turret. Ejection seat, partial, pressure suit, fight clothing, anthropomorphic dummies, etc. Your answer will be a very fantastic answer. Okay? So fine then. So let us continue our discussion in the topics of one after other. Okay? So until then, thank you.